everyone, and thank you for joining us to a new episode of Unlucky Gamers Talk. I am Diego. I am a veteran of the game industry with over 17 years of experience, two published books, and most recently, my last game is Star Overdrive. And I'm here with Uriel.
Hey everyone, I'm Uriel. I'm the producer at Punkle, currently working on Vampire Survivors, Warhammer Survivors, and some other projects. I was a game designer before, and yeah, that's pretty much me.
Nah, it's so much more Uriel always doesn't introduce himself properly. But really great. So, in case this is the first time that you see us or you see the show, this is Unlucky Gamers Talk because me and Uriel are unlucky
Yes, we are.
and we are gamers. And we discuss game news, co-op games, game in general. It's kind of like a 360. It's a very free-for-all chat. So feel free to say hi. Feel free to, share the talk with us. And, comment, tell whatever you want, basically. So today what we are talking is actually a game that me and Uriel played a long time ago.
Mhm. And
never
we
played
have-
it together.
Yes, exactly.
But I played it a long time ago, actually. I don't know. It's not like I think it's still on the on the play, but it's not like as famous as it came when it came out. And it is Rocket League.
Yes, exactly.
So let's start with the real question. How many hours do you have on Rocket League?
I'm going to read it on Steam, 572. But it's not the only platform where I play this game.
Also, two people is watching us. Thank you for watching us. Feel free to say hi. Feel free to share your opinion and comments. Now, I think I have something like 300 and something between all platforms, not just Steam.
Well, that's still a lot of hours.
It is still a lot of hours,
especially
absolutely.
for you, because I know that you tend to
Abandon game
games,
very
huh?
quickly.
Yes.
Yes. I played it super a lot when it came out.
Uh-huh.
And then I reached my threshold of ability, basically, how good I was. And I lost interest. It was really my peak, to sight One Piece.
Yes.
It was my peak. I reached it, and when I knew that I couldn't do better, I
That's
did.
it.
Also, that's already a good question. Did you think you reached your peak in Rocket League or not?
No, I don't think so. But I got much better than I expected I would ever get in this game. I usually am not especially competitive. I'm not that good of a player, but I think there are a few mechanics that I could learn given enough time. The point, but that's the whole point.
The flying, for example.
I was able to fly,
Okay.
but I was not able to do much more than just hitting the ball in the air. I was not able to air dribble or to
not even close for me.
Yeah, so many mechanics. But okay, so that's touching like three of the points that I really want to talk about.
Okay.
Just this singular question that you made is so much important. So the first thing is the learning curve of the game. I think this is this is the most hard game to learn.
I didn't know. And yes, Rocket League.
Yes.
Thank you for giving us the time.
It's the hardest game to learn that I know of. When you start to play this game, either if you are a veteran player on other games or it's the first time that you ever touched, the game is from 2015, according to Steam.
So basically 11 years.
But there is an asterisk on that, and I think we will come back to this later.
Yes, okay, sure. I already know what you want to talk about.
I think it is interesting. So, either if you're a already gamer or if you're not, when you take your pad in hands and try to play Rocket League for you the first time, it's not a matter of, oh, I'm not good enough to do what I want to do. It's you are not able to play the game, because the first thing that you need to do is move. Okay, you are able to do that. The second thing is move towards the ball, and start kicking the ball into a goalpost. That's
Mhm.
super hard. I struggled myself, and I've seen many people start playing the game because I brought them in, and they needed a lot of time just to touch the ball
It's true.
at the very beginning. And
I was
this
like
is
that.
something that I have not seen in any other game. You can suck at the game, but at least you are playing it badly. In Rocket League, the first hour, maybe more than that, you are not even playing the game. You're just struggling to chase the ball.
It's interesting what you said, and I want to add something on it, which is so on the hardest game that you played. Yes, I agree. Was it's definitely one of the hardest, if not the hardest, I played for me too. Absolutely,
The steepest curve, at least.
exactly, but not the deepest. Deep for sure for me remains Baldur's Gate. When you really learn at what you can do with Baldur's Gate, all the crazy idea, the depth of Baldur's Gate is immense. Okay, is absolutely immense. But the complexity of the controls in Rocket League, it's out there. And as you say, the curves start already high. Usually in the game, it's like, okay, you can do something, then slowly grow. In Rocket League, you already start that you're like, okay, you're shit. And it will take a couple of hours just to not be completely useless. And it's interesting because in any other game, that would have been considered a sin, basically, like how even dare you to have like a 1 hour of being terrible in the current gamescape. Also, I noticed the swag of Vampire Survival T-shirt.
Yes.
So it's interesting, and I want to explore this, starting answering you, and then I will because I don't know the answer yet. I have to think it. So how do you think it's possible to? How did Rocket League manage to have such a high start? So you need to be very shitty for a long time compared to normal gaming type,
Mhm.
and still being successful. Because many game, if I had the same steep, stair at the
Uh-huh.
start, they would have been instantly abandoned.
I think I've got two answer to this
Oh,
question
interesting.
just on the top of my mind. The first one, and probably more important, is even if you completely suck and you are not even able to touch the ball for the whole 5 minutes of the match, the game is
Mhm.
still fun. You are laughing. Especially if you are playing with other people, you are laughing while you don't hit the ball most of the time. It's not a frustrating experience, or at least from my experience and from what I've seen of other people playing for the first time, it's not an especially frustrating experience, and it's very humorous, and they feel like they are still doing something, even just trying to chase the ball. And that's super important, because
Mhm.
if I get frustrated because I cannot do something, it's more likely that I will abandon that thing if I don't get any reward. In Rocket League, you can enjoy sucking at the game.
See, I will challenge that.
Okay.
I think yes, you can enjoy sucking at the game if you are playing with friends. I played it alone,
Hmm.
sucking the game, and I
Hmm.
did not enjoy the experience.
Okay, makes
I
sense.
very much despised that experience because I felt I noticed the difference in the skills, and I felt, of course, inferior, and I didn't have any comic relief coming from my friends or other player to joke on the fact that Diego is shit, ha ha ha, very funny, interesting. Instead, I had complete silence. I was playing with stranger on mute, so complete
Yeah, makes
silence,
sense.
other than the sound of the game and the effort of the game, and I did not enjoy the experience.
Okay, then I've got my second answer. and half of a third one that is forming in my mind. The second answer is the skill floor and skill ceiling of the game kept
Mm,
rising throughout the years that the game was out. And because, and this is another point that I really want to touch later on, the game is extremely emergent, and players kept finding new things that were possible to do in the game along the way. But if you look at videos of Rocket League from the start of Rocket League, so when it came out, even pro gamers of the time, and what even just random plat gamers do right now, they look like completely different games. So many people at the very start that started out playing the game,
mhm,
they sucked at the game from my point of view in 2026, but
mhm,
probably were more average at the start. So they were able to play at a very similar level against other players. So the feeling was less frustrating. And
mhm.
that since the game at the very start of when it came out, it went viral almost instantly.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
the community grew so fast, and it kept um, catching new players, and everyone was talking about that. It's a little bit like the Souls experience, so not experience, situation. So everyone is talking about the Souls game, and even if you suck and it's frustrating at the very first, at the beginning, since you have heard so much about that, you have a higher threshold of being able to say, okay, I'm not liking this experience, but I know from what I heard that it gets better, so I'm willing to invest more time in it. So at the very beginning, the experience was not that frustrating because everyone sucked equally at the game, and going forward, new player
Hi,
entered.
Joshua.
Hey, they sucked initially, and maybe the
Thank you for being
experience
here.
was like yours, but knowing that so many other people said, okay, no, this is a fantastic game, you were willing to wait and to invest more time into the game.
I'll say, see, these once again. I'm challenging these
Yeah,
two.
I'm not sure
Uh,
about this. I didn't think about this before.
well, no, no, first of all, no one of us think of like for people that are watching us. This is not prepared,
Yeah.
other than deciding the game or deciding the news. We basically don't discuss. Okay, so everything that came to mind, and I think it's what makes Unlucky Gamer Talks different from other podcasts or live or talking games about that. It's not prepared. It's a real discussion, uh, which sometimes brings amazing things and sometimes brings not good things. So I agree that for sure having a successful game, knowing you will be better, part want to be part of the bandwagon. It's definitely a motivation for the player to stick to the experience when they suck at it. On that, I fully agree. No, I don't think there is any doubt on it. I still don't think it's enough to explain because the point is that Rocket League in multiplayer is an enjoyment, even if you suck, but that's mostly because, you know, any game, like me and you have the experience a lot of time, and we played a lot
Mhm,
of bad co-op game, and we still had a fun night,
mhm.
but talking of our things without necessary. So I don't think these two elements are enough because let's say if you're like me, maybe you played sometime without people, you didn't enjoy it. You might living under a rock and not knowing it was famous. And even if you know it was famous, it's really still enough because it's such a steep curve.
Mhm.
There must be something else
Okay.
in the Rocket League experience that
Then I will
kind of
try
push.
with the third try, and I'll try to put it more in a game design perspective. It's mastery. So the game allows for a an incredible depth that you can achieve in pure skills. The game doesn't revolve about around luck. There is almost zero luck involved in the game. It's there is
That
some
is true.
strategy in the game, but like 90% of the game it's skill, maybe more. So if we say that Rocket League is mostly for achievers, and I think that it is, there
Also
is.
killers too.
Yes, there is killer, there is achiever, there is socializer if you like to play just with your crew. But
Friends,
yeah,
makes sense.
mostly is achiever and killers. And it does an amazing job at aiming at that target. So,
Now
uh,
that's actually is a very interesting because you made me remember something, which is exactly what you said. So this is actually very, very interesting because I had this feeling
mhm,
uh, in the meaning of I did felt when I was playing Rocket League. I always felt uh, I could have done better. You know, it's like it was in my hand, the control. I could have done better. So yes, I instantly felt that mastery that you're talking. That is true. I instantly felt that yes, oh, I missed the ball. Oh, okay, it's Diego. I missed the ball. I could have predicted better. I could have understand. I could have moved myself better for positioning for it the ball later. So
mhm.
on that sense, this convinced me much more.
In fact, you said that you dropped the game as soon as you felt like, okay, I've reached
I reached my
my
peak. You're right. It's true.
and this is something very very similar to what I heard League of Legend player say. So after the end of I'm not a LoL player, so I'm not speaking firsthand, but I heard this from more than one people, well, more than one person. At the end of a match, they want to start a new match for a few reasons, but mainly because they feel like, oh, I missed that skill shot. I
Mhm.
knew that someone was ganking me, and I didn't move because I was greedy. I know I can do better. I want to do better. I will not repeat those same mistake another match. The difference is a LoL match lasts 40 minutes. A Rocket League match lasts 5 minutes. If you lose, you wasted 5 minutes, and if you feel like you are learning stuff, you don't even feel like you wasted 5 minutes. You just invested 5 minutes into getting
Into
better,
learning.
and you
Exactly.
can have 5 more minutes of progression.
That's super interesting. Okay, that's does align a lot with my experience, and I think that is much more real answer,
Mhm.
which is also hi Joshua. Yes, in general speaking, for interacting live, yes, it's better Twitch. It's just better. In the future, I want to have live on everything. YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. We will do it eventually. I don't know in the future. It will happen. But yes, you're right. It is better. So these align much more because mastery is definitely one of the three main motivator, like the self-determination theory says, with relatedness, which is basically the multiplayer component. Agency, of course, but most games have agency in some sort. You interact, you do things and stuff like that. So that's interesting. So the mastery, you are very interesting because yes, a game that make you instantly feel that it was your mistake, that you could be better, and there's a reasonable time of play, so which means that you can do a lot of things and technically speaking improving in a short amount of time through a burst of matches. It is by nature a good game, so it does work in that sense. It does absolutely work. So this it's much more interesting to me as a reason for it. You know, it does feel okay. Yes, it kind of makes sense. I'm trying. No, I wanted to. I put it Rocket League in the other one. There we go. So this is much much more interesting to me, and it does make sense because it's very similar to what I felt. Because Like this is a perfect example. Although this is super good players, definitely not me. But in the previous one, when he jumped on the ball, if I would have missed it, I would have 100% felt okay. That was me, That was on Diego. The ball had no, problem. There was no randomness. There was no, oh shit, if only the die this was on my side. So this makes a lot of sense to me.
Mm.
So I think we actually got on something here. So Rocket League retention is connected to the fact that a match is fast, purely avoiding chance and understanding there is a high ceiling of mastery makes the player think I could potentially achieve that mastery. Of course, until maybe we'll discover they can't, but that is a different thing. Also, Josh, I want to say something that's super interesting. Rocket League also has the fact that there's a lot of possible dynamics. In the beginning were hidden, such as the double touch, the flip reset, things that now are part of the mastery, but in the beginning were also real discoveries. True,
Yes.
absolutely. At the start, that's what Uriel was saying. At the start, people have no idea the potential complexity, sorry, of this game. But I still think people could understand it was more complex. Definitely not as you say, Joshua. No one could understand it was that complex. I think it was hidden, as you said. But I think people could understand there was a higher level of complexity, or at
Mhm.
least that's how I felt it. I felt that the game, you could be good in this game. That's basically what you could have been very good at this game.
Yeah, I think it's incredible that after over 10 years at this point, pro gamers are still discovering new mechanics in the game.
Yeah,
Or
dynamics.
not yes, exactly, sorry, not
Yes,
mechanics, but new dynamics. That's incredible, because
it is.
this is like the definition of emerging gameplay. After 10
Oh,
years,
yes, absolutely.
we are still discovering that, oh shit, if you do this and that, the physics allow you to do to get this result. And that's super interesting because it's a game, and this is also a very good example of elegance in design. It's a game where, like the last one we talked about, you have few actual mechanics and
Oh, yeah.
actions that you can do on the surface, at least, and you get an extremely deep variety
Dynamics
of resultants. See,
and
yes,
resultant action. Yes, absolutely, and
yes,
resultant action too. Absolutely
exactly.
too.
So yes, to me, this is one of the reasons why the game was so popular. Um,
Well,
and
it's basically still saying that the game was popular because people understood there was such a strong level of mastery. In this case, yes, we're talking about the resultant action and everything, but still it's connecting to the fact of mastery.
yes, exactly. And this is the initial point that I wanted to mention, was that
Mhm.
the skill floor is extremely high. So
Oh,
to actually
yes.
get to start playing the game, you need to invest time into the game.
Yes.
And I have never seen any other game where you need to invest so much time in it. But the skill ceiling is so much higher than
Oh,
that.
yes,
You
absolutely.
literally need thousands of hours to get to do some
I
things.
also there's a couple of people that watching us. Thank you for saying hi. Thank you for joining us. Please share your feedback and comment. And yes, I agree. I think Folle it's saying that too. Is in what you were saying that really the ability and the complexity, and is what also Joshua was saying. People is still discovering stuff. The resultant action are still being discovered. People is still mastering them. And the question is, do we even discover all?
No, probably not. Probably not. And it's incredible to me that all of these emerging gameplay just comes from physics. Nothing more, literally nothing more. This means that, going back to another argument that we mentioned a few times during the last lives, game jam.
Yeah, yeah.
some of the most interesting games that I've seen in a game jam are physics based. Why?
Yes.
Because you can use during the jam, you can just use the prep built into the engine physics that you get. And if you are creative enough and if you manage to do the right stuff, you can create super interesting games with just little effort, let's say. Then obviously to get it to the point where Rocket League is, you need infinite polish, lots of juice. So you need so many other things that will take time and effort, and you need to be a great developer to actually get to this point. But just to make something work and have lots of replayability, lots of emergent gameplay, and all of this stuff, physics most of the time is sufficient. Is a
Hmm.
great way to to go into making a game. It's not the only
I
one, obviously.
Of course, of course, but it does make sense if you think about it, because physics is one of the few things that is actually emergent in the real world too.
Yes, exactly. What we call progression and science, it's actually emergent gameplay in real life based on
Exactly.
physics.
It's I mean, like the entire quantum world, it's crazy on its own, but even without that, one of the most interesting thing is how much a game change just by changing the shape of the ball.
Yes.
One of the most interesting thing is if try to ask people that play football or soccer, but to play with American football ball, the basically oval one. It will be a completely different sport. Now, will be a better sport, will be a better game. I don't know. Will be better, will be worse. That's I don't know. I can tell, but it will be different 100%
Yes.
because the way that the ball run and jump and moves will be so dramatically different that we'll have to create completely different strategies
Hmm.
and completely different teams will evolve. Maybe we'll have teams with much more defense or maybe much more offense, slower or faster game. Depends. All the type of things could potentially change entirely just by keeping the same rules but changing the shape of the ball.
Yes, and the people that developed Rocket League knew it because they created whole game modes, alternative game modes, just by changing a few things. But most of important, the shape of the ball.
The
They
shape of the ball.
created the hockey version. They have the basketball version where the shape of the ball is the same, but the bounciness of the ball is different. So you don't need to put it into a goalpost. You have a basket like in basketball, and the ball bounces a lot. So by changing a couple of variables for a video game,
Oh
the
yeah,
game is
absolutely.
completely different. And that's once again, I must remember that I need to turn off Alexa about this time when we go live. Uh, yeah, that's very efficient. And
It's
yeah,
funny
no,
how the
nothing.
people in the video have still not scored a single goal on either side. Well, it just happened once. Yes, exactly. They just did it. When you wrote it, it happened. But yes. And actually, that is interesting because technically speaking, is an interesting point, the one that Diner says. Very, very interesting. Because the more, the better are the team and close to be the same level of ability,
Hmm.
the slower, not in speed, but in progression, is the game.
Yes, yes.
That's not only for Rocket League. In general speaking, is a rule of sports and game. The closer are the team to being equal and good, because equal bad no needs to be equal good. Because equal bad means mistakes, and mistake leads to progression. But equal good or close to equal good means less efficient game, and that's very interesting because it's actually a rule of matchmaking. When you do matchmaking in game design, you want yes. closer people. You don't want the best with the worst. It will not be entertaining for any of them. It will be too easy for one and too hard for the other. But at the same time, you don't want perfect equality. You usually want slightly better, slightly worse. You see that a lot of time, especially when you have to get the medal to pass to the next level, in which they tell you that. Uh, Now, this can be achieved in two ways. One is working purely on the skill of the player. So, like, okay, I tend to see that this player I'm inventing now wins 51% of the game, and I saw that this player wins 48%. Okay, it's good enough because they are both good players, but this 3%, it's good to create distance. Or another way in which you can do it is by having builds. Now, Rocket League doesn't have that, of course. But imagine, oh, this player has 51% of winning, and he used a worse character, or this time picked a worse character, and this player has 45% of winning rate, but is using one of the best meta character. So you can match together because even one of the player is technically better, the fact that the other is using something that is more efficient by nature can compare to that. And this created this imbalance because now there is an imbalance in skill and an imbalance in game mechanics, conceptually speaking. Also, Joshua saying something too. This is another interesting thing. There are also players who specialize specifically in freestyle and not being a good player. Absolutely true.
Yes.
Absolutely true.
There are
This
a
this
few
is connected to what
niches.
Uriel was saying.
There are a few niches in the game. There are the people who specializes in just destroying other cars, like literally just driving into them. If you go at a high enough speed, you will make them
Boom.
explode. Other people that goes just freestyling, and that's if you have like if you 3 minutes during the day and you want to look for that on YouTube, it's hypnotizing to look at, literally.
Oh yeah,
But
that's another thing. This game has a highly spectability.
and this is exactly what where I wanted to go right now. It's super interesting what you're saying, Diego, and I think that it's bringing us directly into watchability or respectability, as you want
Yeah,
to call
same
it.
thing, same name.
There are so many aspects of the game that are designed probably, or if they are not designed purposely, they still are uh, great for watchability. I remember
Absolutely.
when we studied this argument in IVE, I analyzed Rocket League for for that task, because it's I just got distracted watching the gameplay right now. Even at high level, where, as you are saying, there is less, let's call it progression per minute. I don't know,
Yeah, progression per minute.
happening. The pace of the game is still incredibly high. The
Yes,
number of
yes.
actions and things that we are seeing, the number of times that the slight advantage switches from one team to the other, it's happening constantly. There is not one single second where we see nothing happening on screen, and we have access to almost every single important information always,
Well,
all of the
well, there
time.
is to say that yes, I agree with everything to say. Also, because the game rightly took a lot of his spectability from football.
Yes.
As a lot of things, football is one of the most spectacle or watchable sport in the world by definition. And this game has clearly inspiration from it. And the colors, the timer, the ball, the separation of the field, all these things do help immensely to increase the watchability.
Yeah,
Very, very high.
they create a lot of affordance because almost everyone knows what football is. So you start from a
Exactly.
point where you can immediately recognize, oh, okay, there are two goalposts, there is one ball
Exactly.
and two team. I can see the colors. I'm halfway there.
Exactly. I
But
can
I want
understand,
to.
the general idea is to put the ball in the goal post. I don't need
Yeah.
you to explain it to me.
Mhm.
I can kind of understand it.
Yes, and I think I will just open a brief parenthesis here to say that it's interesting because while the game is probably heavily inspired on not normal football but uh, indoor
Oh
football,
yes, absolutely.
um, it's actually more similar to a couple other sports
Mhm.
rather than football. The first one being hockey for the
Yes.
rotation. I've read it many places, and I actually agree. You don't see it just by watching, but when you play it, one of the most important factors in the game, second just to skills, is rotating. You need to be coordinated with your team, and you need to do a thing that it's called rotation. We don't care here how it works because we are not here to make a tutorial, but that's very very similar to how hockey works. And the other one is, and I just read about this recently, volleyball. There is
Mm.
there are
I'm not
setters.
expert on volleyball, so this
uh,
is interesting.
I play beach volley, so recently I'm learning more, but this is something that is obvious to anyone that just know what the sport is. There are setters and there are spikers. You set the ball high for someone else to spike it into the goalpost,
Okay, okay.
and the dynamics that comes out are very very similar to what we see on a volleyball court. So I didn't think about this ever, but it was very very interesting to read about this. So yeah, it's a game that we usually say it's just football with cars, but actually is more profound than that. And
Oh yeah, yeah,
weirdly,
yeah.
this is
Absolutely.
another reason why the game was so popular, because somehow it spoke to not just one sport fans, but more than one sport,
Hmm.
people that care about more than one sport. But yeah, okay, sorry. I just wanted to bring this up because I thought it
No,
was
it's super
interesting. But
interesting. It is super interesting. And
please
as I
go on with
say, I
the.
fully agree on arcade because I know arcade enough to say I agree on that. I'm not expert on volley or beach volley. I know what you're saying with the, setter and spiker. I understand that. I'm not expert enough to recognize it, other than what you said. Someone set the ball and someone push it. Although this is something that for me it kind of works with any sport in the sense that football has the same concept in some way, in which there is the striker and the
Mhm,
middle and things like that. And many sports have someone that kind of like conceptually speaking prepare for the hit and the
mhm.
hitter.
Yeah, makes
Although,
sense.
as I say,
And the
it might be
blocker.
much more profound, and I'm just simply not an expert on that. Enough to notice the volleyball comparison. I'm not saying it's not present. I'm just saying I'm
Mhm,
not expert enough. But I do agree that it is much more profound than it's football with cars. It is much more than that.
mhm,
He has his own mechanics, his own ways, his own strategies that, of course, will not work in soccer or will not work in hockey because, well, of course, they are not cars. There's not this physics, but in general speaking, it is very. This is his own sport. He has his own complexity, his own rules, his own difficulties. Like for example, this is very interesting.
yes, going
What
for
just
the
happened?
ball
That
or
was a
not
big
going for the
mistake.
ball.
That was a big mistake. And the truth is that the game made that mistake. No, the player did 100%. There was nothing on that you could say I might have done it wrong. It's you could have done it better.
But it was not a mistake. It was a tactic.
Yes, it was a
And
decision. I
yeah,
understand, but it didn't work in the right way. Uh, I'm simplifying here a bit.
yeah, yeah, okay.
Uh, it was a mistake in team coordination in this
Mhm,
specific case.
okay, okay, okay. Yes, but this is still something interesting to me. Uh, this is a game where the meta as we intended on many other games, so the build or the characters or the balance, it doesn't exist basically because there are no builds, there are no different characters. Well, yes, there are like 3 or 4 different hitbox
Yes.
possibilities for the cars, but it's not something that changes how strong is a car or how a car works against another. It's just what kind of player you are and what you feel more comfortable in. So for simplification's sake, I would say there are no variables. Everyone is playing the same exact version of the game, but there is still a very strong meta into the game.
Yes,
So
but
and
it's a
it's
sport
an
meta.
exactly, and it's an evolving meta, exactly like in sports. It's not something that we usually see in video games.
Yeah, I
Usually in
agree.
video games, we see, okay, there is a balance patch, something changes, the meta is shifting, or a new character came out, or a new build was created, and now we see meta shifting here. And I'm not saying this is the only game, but yeah,
Yeah, it's the one that we're talking right now. So
yes, exactly. Here the meta is shifting because people are discovering new dynamics, or generally speaking, people are getting better at the game. So the average level is constantly rising, and if many people became able to do something that previously was considered just for the pros, it means that many other people needs to find a way to defend against that new thing, and
specific thing,
now meta is shifting.
which although is also the limit. I fully agree on everything you said, and it's
Mhm.
very interesting because this is a pro and also a limit. Although I don't think that in the case of Rocket League is a real limit, which is the opposite instead of real sport. Because the problem of sports is that by being playing by centuries, most of sports, of course, there are new sports that are not in this level. The meta is stagnating because the most efficient way to
Mhm.
play that sport has been discovered.
Yes.
That is an example, for example, with football, actually. Now, football has still a lot of ceiling in the ability of the player,
Mhm.
but the main strategy for playing football, it did evolve in the century. You know, how they were playing, I don't know, only already like 30 years ago is completely different from how they play now. But teams are becoming more and more efficient at playing football from a dynamic of team point of view.
Mhm.
So basically, the tactics,
Yes.
counter attack, the disposition of the player. Actually, I don't know this word in English, but many. I remember 20 years ago, il. Uh, I don't remember the name. The one behind the striker. After the middle, there was a guy, and then
Defenders.
there was the striker.
Uh,
I
I,
don't remember now. It's
I don't
specific.
know.
That word. Well, the guy behind the striker was a very common position. There were very famous people that did that specific role. Ribéry, Kaká. Now it's disappeared. Now it's disappeared because it is a very risky position, and unless you have a very, 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 very good kind of centravanti, exactly. Centravanti, I don't know in English
Okay.
the name of it. But basically, the centravanti, it's a very player dependent position. So it means that if you have a very master player, once again, Ribery, Kaká, whatever, you have a highly advantage. But if you don't have that, it's just better not having that position at all. It's just a waste of resources. It's better to have one more striker or one more medium or one defender, depending on the style. And this is interesting because it's became a truth. It's just what it is. Now, once again, it can evolve absolutely because, of course, the rules can change in football, and they do change from time to time. Even just changing the weight of the ball will change the strategies, but it's something that comes from rule mechanics changing.
Mhm.
Okay, so we are changing, and when you're changing a rule in a sport, it takes a lot of time because the sport has centuries, so people will most likely oppose the
Mhm.
change. Why I don't think it's a limit for Rocket League? Without saying nothing against Rocket League, I don't think in 300 years people will play Rocket League
Yeah.
or will not be the exact same Rocket League. Now, I'm sure this will be clipped, and in 300 years, the humans with three heads will
Ha,
just say,
look
"Ha!
at them.
Look at Diego, that idiot, while playing Rocket League." I honestly don't think it's that. But it's interesting because basically it's an advantage by not necessarily have to live thousands of years or hundreds of years like real sports potentially do. Depends if there is, if it's an appreciated sport.
Mhm.
The risk of being solved does not exist,
Yeah.
or is exist in a time that potentially will not be reached.
It's not a problem at the moment.
Exactly. And most likely will not be a problem in
Yes.
general, which instead is a big problem for football and for other sports. Because if it gets solved, it becomes boring to see. If
Yes.
everyone does the same strategy, it is boring. They just released Rocket League 2. Yes, I understand the concept and of course it's changing, but here I'm talking that you can still potentially play Rocket League 1 and not have fully. But you can't release Football 2. Exactly. That's the point I'm saying. Is exactly that. If now FIFA, the federation, proposed to, I'm joking, okay, proposed to say that the ball needs to be 20 grams lighter, which is a lot, okay, 20 grams is a lot, okay, people will oppose to that a lot. I'll give you an example. I'll stop with Rocket League, but it's actually, there's an example that just happened with the Olympics. Did you follow the Olympics, Uriel?
Not much, no.
Okay, so how is called the sports in which you do the jump, the ski jump?
I don't know the name of the sport, but I mean, it's that sport. So long jump, skiing, I don't know.
I'm trying to find right here. Let me see. Let's see if I found it. It's kind of famous. There we go. Il Penis Gate. Okay, Il Penis Gate. Il Penis Gate. Okay, so now I know it's a joke, and I know you say, "Oh my God, Diego, you said penis. You will not get money." We're not doing this for money. We're doing this for discussion. So the Penis Gate, what it is, basically, there are, rumors that are kind of being confirmed, for which people use the fillers before the ski jump to make their penis larger, bigger. And you say, why? Well, because if you have a bigger penis, they give you a bigger suit. Because, of course, you need to be comfortable when you do this sport. And even a tiny, tiny, tiny millimeter more in the suit is equivalent to at least 10, 20 meters more in jumping. And in this part, the more you jump, or the longer you jump, conceptually speaking, the better it is. So if I have to make your suit a bit, even like 2-3 millimeter, there was someone that calculated, did the calculation. There we go, 2 centimeters. It was written here. 2 centimeter is equal to 6 meters more. So if you increase your penis enough to be required to have a bigger suit, then this bigger suit will be more surface area. Basically, that's the concept. More surface area means more dragging. More dragging means more time flying. More time flying means more meters. And
I
more
have
meter
no idea about this.
means generally speaking, more possibility to win, because in this part, the more you fly, the better it is. Now, this is ridiculous, and we can laugh about, someone injected penis into it. And I agree, Joshua, sounds so beautiful. This is pure human mind at its best, because finding this kind of loophole, it's just pure human creativity.
And I'd like to know how someone discovered about this.
Yes, it is fantastic to know how someone discovered about it. I fully agree. But other than the fun, because of course it's funny, okay, blah blah, it is funny. But other than the fun of this, there is one element that for me it's incredibly interesting, which is 2 centimeter. It's equal to 6 meter more. So if football has a very Italian mindset, well, I'm not talking about always finding the way to cheat. That is very Italian. But in general speaking, I say that the beauty of the mind, or the human mind, of just thinking the most incredible thing to find a solution to a problem. Okay. Now, in this case, yes, it's cheating. I fully agree, and I don't endorse it. But only a human, in my opinion, could actually think of that. I don't think alien races, if they exist, will ever think of that. I think it's something that is intrinsically human. But once again, to go back, it's if FIFA now does that, it will say the ball now by law it's 20 grams less. It will be a massive shift in football. It will basically football too, and a lot of people will oppose because, as Joshua said, people don't want football too. They want current football, basically. So that's the limit. That is the limit. Yeah, I know. Exactly. It's an interesting design perspective, just people thinking of this concept stuff. So I think this is the strength of Rocket League. Rocket League might have a ceiling. I don't know, maybe in 1,000 years. I don't know how long it will take, but maybe in 1,000 years, you found the perfect strategy to play Rocket League. But at that point, you probably release Rocket League X. No one is playing original Rocket League. Or the way that the original Rocket League is playing changed by not using controllers or mouse anymore, and now you use neural network, and so it changes in the other way. So conceptually, is the limit that sports have, which are the human body and the passage of time, does not apply to esport. Exactly, open world, bigger field. I think this, that, all of this stuff. And I think this is super interesting. And I know you're still laughing for the penis thing.
No, I was thinking about open world Rocket League. Yeah. Okay, I will challenge you with one more,
Ooh,
or a couple more topics. We don't have much time, so I will just
yeah, but it's a
go
super
for
interesting
the...
one. We maybe have to do it again in the future about Rocket League. There's still so much to say.
Yeah. I want to know what you think about this. So the game has some bindings. When you just out of the box, you download the game, you start playing, you have some controls. First of all, it's almost impossible to play with mouse and keyboard. I've tried.
Yes,
I don't suggest it. So let's just talk about the pad. Almost everyone who plays Rocket League for more than I don't know 10 hours will change the controls, because it's everyone agrees you cannot play Rocket League as we intended now through the main control. But the official controls didn't change. I think they are still the one that were present when the game came out. So it's normal. You can find infinite tutorials online on how you should change your controls, etc. And everyone does it. Now, I think I have a reason in my mind why the original controller are still there, and there are actually other games where something similar happens. And it's not just the developer designed the sucky game controls and they stick with it. It's not a matter of the original controls suck. I think there is more, but I want to know also what you think about this. Did you change your controls, or did you keep playing with the original ones?
I did change my controls.
Yes.
I did. I started with of course, the suggested one. Let's say. And then I eventually changed it. Although I want also to give this, in general speaking, I do change controls quite a lot in all games.
Okay.
If the game allow, I just rebind inside the game. Otherwise, all my controllers have these, the back buttons. I'm a big fan of singular back buttons, so not doubles, singular one. Because usually I can play with this. I can click one of these two with these fingers, not the pinky, but this one, the ring finger, basically. So in general speaking, because this is how I usually keep the controller, so I use all the fingers. Some people use single finger for these two. I use separate fingers plus these. and this. This is kind of like my standard position for controlling. And I'm mostly a controller guy. So if I can, unless the game is unplayable on controller, I tend to switch on controller. I just prefer it. I grew up with console, so that's for me it's kind of easier. But in general, I did change it. I do it a lot. I do think the Rocket League controllers are okay. I don't think they're good, but I think there is a very specific reason for it. You want my opinion on it?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay.
Then
Uh,
I'll say mine if it's different
it's
from yours.
because Rocket League suggested controller are for shitty players on purpose
Yes.
in order to make you able to play, but and so make the game more pick up and play. Although the game is not pick up and play by any form or mean, but help you into being pick up and play. And as soon you want to be better at Rocket League, you have to change them in a way that works better for you, which is a very MMO thing to do.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Yes, the original bindings are almost as part of the tutorial.
Mhm.
Until you don't change your binding, you are still in the tutorial.
I fully agree. I 100%
Uh,
agree.
I'm not a big MMO player, so I didn't know it was such a normal thing. But yes,
Yes,
I.
in MMO in general, you start with the normal, and then when you kind of reach the first end, so you've kind of like reached the level for whatever MMO it is different, but they
Mhm,
kind of like, okay, you kind of first time max out your cutter. Then at that point, you rebind the controller or in general the buttons in that case
mhm,
to fit your build in the most efficient way, because most of
mhm,
MMO are mostly are almost rhythmic game in some way. Now this is a stretch, but I think people understand what I mean by that.
yeah.
So you want to have the button that you want to press at the right rate close to you and rebind whatever it is close to you, because of course it depends. Some people also, that is the reason why MMO people that play MMO very seriously always buy this stuff. Always do that. They buy these or they buy the I'll find it. They buy these. Okay, they always invest in this type of things because at a certain point it's just a matter of pressing the right button at the right time and doing the right call. And for that reason, you want to rebind and just have the controls to the place that you want them to be, which usually means having them on a separate layer that you can just control in the way that you want to control it,
Mhm,
whatever it is, of course. Now, it doesn't have to be mechanical. It doesn't depends on the MMO, depends on the complexity, depends on the level that you are. I'm
mhm,
not saying that as soon you reach level, I don't know, 30, you do that. But eventually, if you want to go in the, let's say, strong on MMOs, you tend to do that.
mhm. But differently from MMOs that have like an infinite amount of possible bindings and of button that you can press. In Rocket League, there are relatively few buttons,
Oh yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think it would be wise to create an alternative binding, maybe hidden in the menu or somewhere, a suggestive alternative binding for mm, pro gamers, let's say. So many other games have something like this. Now I understand that by putting the alternative there, some new players could fall into the trap of, oh, I feel like I'm a pro, I want to have the pro stance, and completely ruin their experience. But still, I think that it should be there at a certain point,
Oh
because.
well, I think Ashu here say something super correct.
Mhm,
It's exactly that. FPS, people will get the special mouse with DPI control, maybe the app adjustment. and fighting game, people will use lever S. And for old arcade game, they will actually take the giant arcade style
Yeah.
thingy. I know that because, for example, a friend of mine, a big friend of mine, he's part of a fantastic group of people in North Italy that do old arcade tournament, and they actually have the real arcade. And every single time they build them for the tournament, like 6, 7 of these, and then they um, remove them and keep them in protective because, of course, the pieces don't exist anymore, so you need to keep them. And they play on the original one because they want to have the original experience, and what they train for these tournaments are the actual button. They don't play on control like me. So I think it's correct. It's a natural evolution that if you want to maximize your ability, and also this is happening to sports too, like if you start to playing soccer, you just play with your normal, I don't know, Nike shoes. Then you go into a bit better, a bit better, a bit better, and eventually, if you become a real pro, really the technology behind your shoes is incredible. So much that in some Olympics, Nike is banned.
Yeah.
You know that? There are many sports in which the technology of Adidas and,
Yeah.
and it's so
It's almost
advantageous
cheating.
that is also considered cheating.
Mhm.
So I think it's a normal evolution. You want the best gear and the best possibility to express yourself at the best condition, potentially speaking.
Mhm.
Or you can go into the trap and spending 3,000 million euro and be shitty,
Yes.
which is probably me.
Okay. Do we want to touch a last point, or do we want to do like maybe in the future another episode?
I think it was super fantastic, and I want to keep it for the future.
Okay.
Also because I want to use this last minute.
Mhm.
Also because we went over, it's already an hour. I think
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
super cool. But I want to do this last minute to talk about something kind of important.
Mm.
Um,
I
and I
think I
think
know
it's
where you are going with this. I totally agree. Yes.
I think it's important just to cite at least,
Mm. Absolutely.
So I think it's kind of like relevant to share this information with people. And as I say, we went over. In general speaking, in case you don't know, and it's very possible that you don't know, all Ubisoft, including Ubisoft Milan, is in a 3-day strike. So no work strike. This is Ubisoft Milan. They had the live music made by Kenobi. There's a very famous DJ that makes music basically on a Game Boy.
Mhm.
It's a very unique thing. And the entire studio has been shut down, and they are striking, because basically Ubisoft has cancelled the smart working. So he said, Ubisoft, everyone needs to come back to work, no matter what, no matter the position, no matter what we said before. Just you have to come back here. You can say it here. Don't play with our lives. Ci giochiamo tutto. You know. Now, this is not to say only Ubisoft Milan. It's every Ubisoft studio. I'm
Mhm.
talking about Ubisoft Milan just because it's the Italian studio of Ubisoft, so it's kind of easier to talk about that.
Yeah. I sent you
Uh,
the post of the strike, of the Italian at least strike.
1 second, and I'll check it.
Mhm.
Thank you so much. I'll open it, and it will be super good. How can I show? It's super small if I show it from here. It's okay.
Oh, okay. Then.
Put it on the chat. People can see it on the chat. Why is important? It's important because this strike, whether you agree or disagree with it, that doesn't matter. What matters is that this strike has been created because Ubisoft is forcing people to leave smart work or remote work, as you call in English. And this is a maneuver done only to force people to self-fire themselves. Okay, this is the concept. The concept is, if I fire you, I have to give you a lot of money. If you leave the job voluntarily, I don't. And if I force you to come back here and you can't physically, I know people that they come back in Ubisoft and they live 4 hour distance by train, so it's physically impossible for them to go to the job. Of course, then I can eventually fire you for just cause, which is, you're never working, so I fire you, and I don't have to give you money because, of course, I fire you and give you money only if you didn't deserve to be fired. This is a shitty maneuver, just that. Okay. Now, I don't. If you want and you're interested in the future, we can absolutely talk about what do I think that Ubisoft restructure is good, is not good, is correct. And as you probably, if you follow me on LinkedIn, I'm very vocal on it because I don't think it's a good mover, or it's a good move. It could have been a good move, but not in the way they are doing it, basically. But just that, just doing this and masquerading through, oh no, we don't have remote work anymore, just to make, and that's all over the world, just to make people fire themselves, is a shitty move. Is a shitty move, and it deserves to be talked because it's a shitty move. Now, will this strike will have any result? I have no idea. We will see. By the fact that it's global, maybe. But as I say, it's important that people talk, because whether you agree or not agree on Ubisoft is good, if it's bad, this changing Ubisoft was necessary. I do agree, for example, that a lot of people, Ubisoft needed to reduce the cost. Okay, I do agree with that. But instead of being honest and say, we need to fire people, maybe we'll give you some redundancy money, sometimes you can do that. They just decide to play the chicken card. Okay, and this is just not a good thing to do. It's just the way it is. So I wanted to share this. Once again, you agree, you don't agree. I'm happy with whatever you think is important, because for me, is speaking of this is important. Also, this is something that almost never happened before in the game industry. Okay, striking and in general unionizing, it's something that in the game industry does not exist. Once again, whether it's good or not, I don't know. I'm not Nostradamus. I have my opinions on it. And once again, more than happy to discuss this with you, Uriel, for a longer time in the future, even next week, whatever. But it's still interesting to follow. Okay, knowing if this will bring to unionizing, this will bring to anti-unionizing, this will bring to something, this will bring to nothing. If you're interested in the gaming industry and gaming, it's something good to know. It's something good to follow. Yeah, that's my. I don't know if you want to add something on it. Otherwise, we can just say thank you.
I think you said everything that was important to say about this. Yeah, I will take this opportunity to say I think that unionizing in our industry is extremely important, and we really lack that at the moment. It's an industry that grew incredibly fast, and it's very big at the moment, and we don't most of it doesn't have unions. It's not a surprise that phenomenon like crunch exists. We are not protected. So yeah, I'm very sorry for what's happening in Ubisoft, and Ubisoft it's not the only one. So generally speaking, everything that is going on in the last years in the industry, I hope that this is a wake-up call, and that we are able to somehow at least use these bad experiences for the future to improve our condition as workers. Because yeah, many of us feel like, oh, we are doing our hobby and getting paid for it, but we are working. Still we are working. We need to be treated like workers and to have some form of certainties. So yeah.
Okay. I'll say, if people is interested, please let us know in comment of future things. And that's it. Thank you. I think it's super interesting. I 100% think we should do second Rocket League and go deeper. I think we already found something super interesting in any case. in our analysis. And thank you, everyone. See you next week. Today was super long, but I think super good. Bye bye.
Yeah. Bye.